Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to go over what happened in December of 2024 for Cochrane Alberta's real estate market, give an insight of how 2024 ended as a whole and how that affected prices here in Cochrane, Alberta, and then try and give a bit of an overview of maybe what's to come here in the Cochrane, Alberta real estate market going into 2025. Before we jump into the video, I just want to say Happy New Year. Thank you to all for watching the channel. It really means a lot to me. It helps me get some of this information about Cochrane, Alberta's real estate market to people looking. And the more likes and comments and subscribes we get here on this channel, it helps kind of YouTube throw that information in front of others who might be interested in the same thing. So I'd really appreciate it if you take a second in that holiday giving spirit, drop one of those down below. Okay, diving in. So the first big thing here is that in December of 2024, we saw a 17% decrease year over year in the number of sales. So that actually set this up to being one of the slower Decembers in the past 5 years, kind of since that COVID era. And now the big thing with that is we still did see a very strong year in price growth, but that's a significant slowdown in sales numbers. With that, we saw a 30% increase in inventory here. But like I mentioned, and I've been talking about it for months here, and I think it's really important. I know I keep kind of bringing it up, but the inventory numbers that we show you or that I show you is the total number of listings on the market. Doesn't show pending listings. I take those out. So for this morning, we had 126 active listings here in Cochrane, and only 55% of those are prior lived-in homes. So the inventory numbers are strong. However, if you're somebody that's moving into Cochrane, Alberta, has a job relocation, or your home is on the market currently and you're selling, and you're going to need a home in that 30 to 90 day mark, that can be challenging when you're shopping new construction listings, as those new construction listings can really be on the market in a really wide range of completion. So those new construction homes may not fit your specific needs as a buyer. And so just saying that there's a lot of inventory in the market doesn't do everyone justice. So I really like to make that point known and put it out there that for your specific situation, it's really best to have that conversation of how many homes are available for me versus how many homes are just available. So that's just one big thing I want to highlight. I've been highlighting it for months now, and I think it's really important. How that's all affected the prices. Well, Cochrane Alberta's benchmark price did rise over last month, showing a modest growth in price despite the lower sales numbers. And with that, over the course of the year, Cochrane Alberta's benchmark price rose 9%. And well, how does that price growth stack up compared to the city of Calgary, Airdrie, and Okotoks, the three main competing areas to move to? Airdrie saw about 8% growth. Okotoks also saw an 8% growth, and the city of Calgary saw 15% growth, highlighting the fact that the smaller towns and the smaller centers around the city of Calgary still offer more bang for your buck in terms of value in home than does the major city. Now, obviously, it varies quadrant to quadrant in the city of Calgary, but some of the more affordable areas in the city, mainly the northeast and the southeast, saw an almost 20% growth in price over the previous year, 2023. So with that higher price growth in Calgary, it is again driving more people out to those more surrounding communities. And out of those three, Airdrie, Cochrane, and Okotoks, there's some significant differences. Cochrane, obviously being west, closer to the mountains, has a slightly higher benchmark price than Airdrie, but is half the size. So you gain a little bit more quiet, a little bit more peaceful community versus the larger city that is Airdrie with more than double the population at this point. Down into Okotoks, Okotoks actually has a much higher benchmark price, and homes typically sell for a little bit more money down there with larger lots and larger homes. So for the more common, standard 2,200 square foot detached house, Cochrane does see a little bit more value than does Okotoks. And again, puts you closer to the mountains, puts you closer to Calgary International Airport. I think those are both two really positive things depending on your lifestyle. Now, some of the biggest changes that happened over 2024 has to be the mortgage rule update. And if you haven't read about that or don't know what I'm talking about there were some new mortgage rules that were introduced on December 15th, 2024. I got a whole video up here that you can go check out and dive into the details. And that's going to be the biggest unknown going into 2025. Now, with these rules being very new to the market, obviously a couple weeks old now, it's still really unclear how the banks are going to adapt their product services to match that. As we go into 2025, I'll be keeping an eye on that, chatting with a mortgage expert and keeping on tabs on that, just so I can provide you with any value that I can to give you some insight into how that will affect things. Mainly, like I said, it's going to affect that $1 million to $1.5 million range, with potentially some more buyers entering that market that haven't been there before, which could lead to a little bit easier time selling some of those higher priced properties, which is good news for those of you in Ontario and Vancouver if you're thinking about capitalizing on some equity and moving here to Alberta and buying a very similar house for a lot less money and enjoying a little bit better retirement. Now, just taking into account the slowdown in sales as we saw at the end of the year, I don't think that we're going to see the same spring market this year, starting as early as February like we did last year. There was multiple offers, things were heating up. Right, homes were selling for 99% a list or above in February. And I just don't see that necessarily being the case this year. I think we're going to see a couple of months of uncertainty, as obviously the political environment is changing here in Canada, it's changed in the US, and how that's going to affect the global market is still yet to be seen. So I think we're going to see a little bit more of a hesitation to that spring market this year, unless, again, we see some more drastic interest rate drops leading into the new year. However, I think we're going to start seeing some more slower, more modest, either holds or, 0.25% movement, not the 0.5s that we've seen the past few months. So at this point, if you've been thinking about moving to Cochrane, Alberta, and are wondering if now is the right time, drop a comment down below or send me an email. I'd love to chat with you more, see how this information, how the market's going, the new rules, how do they affect you, and just chat with you and see what the best course of action might be for you going into the new year. But I think in terms of the buyer, I think we're going to see a few months of a more balanced market. You might not have to dive into the multi-offer situation as often or as early as we did in 2024. I'd like to know what you think. Do you think the market is cooling, or do you think that this is just the typical wintertime holiday break that we normally see? Keep in mind, this is the lowest holiday season we've seen in the last 5 years. I'd like to know what your thoughts are. Drop a comment down below. I hope you, again, found this video useful. Again, if you're not subscribed, check it out. We've got some really exciting stuff coming for 2025. There's a few community tours that are going to be posted here in the next couple of weeks, helping those buyers get ready for that 2025 buying season. And then I've got some cool videos that I'm going to try and get out here in the first quarter, talking with a home inspector, talking with a mortgage broker, and giving you guys access to some of those experts in their fields to provide some more information to you so you can be a more educated buyer in today's real estate market. Thanks, and I will catch you in the next one.